For decades, some of the world's most powerful people have come together to form a secret society of sorts. But now some of their secrets may be exposed. Joining me with more on the Bilderberg Group is radio host Alex Jones. Alex, I'm wondering what you think about this. Does this mean that the ins and outs of the Bilderberg Group will become more mainstream now that this author is coming out to talk about it more?
Well, European Union Member of Parliament Mario Borghezio last year questioned in the Parliament why so many heads of EU positions were Bilderberg Group members. And, of course, last year, Dutch Member of Parliament Harry van Bommel also petitioned to members of the Bilderberg Group who were in the EU government to explain themselves. So what's happening is more and more people in governments, in different European national governments and in the EU government, are realizing that the real decisions are being made at globalist meetings like the Bilderberg Group. And we wrote a story last week at prisonplanet.com titled Bilderberg Group, The Open Conspiracy, because when Jim Tucker was first reporting on this 32 years ago as a U.S. reporter, people made fun of him and laughed at him and said it didn't even exist. Major publications like the New York Times and Time Magazine said it didn't exist. Well, since then, the Bilderberg Group has been forced to go more public and admit that they covertly set up the European Union, that they do want a planetary government, that they do want world government. And so much of their agenda is now promoted by the EU and others. Herman von Rompuy, who's a Bilderberg Group attendee, and, of course, the head of the EU, has called for global government run by the very central banks that have caused the worldwide derivatives crisis. So, yes, just 2 weeks ago, Zbigniew Brzezinski addressed the Council on Foreign Relations and said for the first time in world history, the entire globe is politically awakened, not to the puppet presidents and prime ministers, but to the real power elite, and that their world government is basically in trouble. And the Council on Foreign Relations, people in the crowd looked very upset. So this Anglo-American Dutch power structure that's hidden in the shadows and use the energy of the U.S. and England to carry out this world government is in trouble because the American people and others are waking up to the fact that we've been used as the engine of this covert empire.
Alex,
and so there's a major...
I want to interrupt you just real quick. I think you make a good point in talking about how it really did used to be viewed as sort of a conspiracy, and a lot of people didn't see the validity in talking about this as something that was real. But many of the predictions that the Bilderberg Group has made, especially relating to the economy and the financial meltdown in Europe, have been extremely accurate. Talk a little bit about that and how that has sort of altered public perception.
Well, sure. I mean, you get 150 or so. Previously, it was about 125 of the heads of Dutch Royal Shell, royalty, the head of the Dutch Royal House, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all together is really a mafia commission meeting, and they're deciding on any disputes and the agenda for the following year. Because they're already going in the basic direction they want to go, but there's minor tweaks going on. So 2 years ago, I traveled to Virginia and covered the Bilderberg Group, and the intel we got from inside was that Obama had been chosen and that Hillary was going to step down from the campaign. That was done 2 days later after we announced it. We were able to discover that the Bilderberg Group was planning to run gas prices up to $150 a barrel. People laughed at us. It then happened in the next year. The Bilderberg Group said that they'd made deals to have the stage collapse of the Berlin Wall. Jim Tucker reported on that a full year before it happened. Jim Tucker also reported from his Bilderberg inside sources that Bush was going to announce that he did believe in global warming and wanted carbon taxes. And that became a verified, documented truth later. When the Washington Post was announcing that the attack on Iraq was going to be 2002, American Free Press and others reported from their Bilderberg sources that the owners of the Washington Post, Mr. Graham, had attended and knew that it was going to be in March of '03. That was later confirmed. So, yes, the Bilderberg Group is the highest level of world government, but they have their public propaganda that they put out at Davos and at other forums and events. And more, what the secret of Bilderberg Group is doing behind closed doors is more and more being put out publicly because they've now been revealed. They're having to admit their world government agenda, but they're putting a spin on it that it's good and humanitarian. And we cover this in my film, The Obama Deception. But yes, they're in a lot of trouble because the planet is waking up to their covert criminal operation.
Just very, very briefly, Alex, the secrecy and the privacy, how important is that?
Well, it's very important that Bilderberg keep its inner workings secret. It's okay if stuff from decades ago comes out, but they don't want it, the new information to come out because their agenda can then be thwarted. Their main function now is vetting European, British, and U.S. politicians. That is one of their most important functions. More and more, they're being made not obsolete. It's just that the global pace has forced the Bilderberg Group to...
Alex, I'm going to have to cut you off. I'm so sorry. We are out of time.
Thank you.